Hi, I'm Brian Moran, founder of Government CIO. Welcome to Government CIO Magazine.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Barrett. Welcome to Government CIO Magazine. Today we're sitting down with Susan Swart, Department of State, Chief Information Officer.
I would say in the short term, in the recent, last year or so, it would be the expansion of our mobile capabilities, improving and expanding our mobile capabilities. We, over the past year, have improved the infrastructure that provides connectivity for people in a mobile environment, both where they are and then what they can access once they get onto the system. So it enables people, to improve their ability to telecommute, to improve their ability to reach their resources regardless of where they are, whether they're domestic or overseas. So I would say that is our most significant accomplishment, and in the short term, and because we're a mobile workforce. We're not just domestic, but we're all over the world in 280 or so places. So that's a hugely significant accomplishment for us. Say that we've had a lot of consolidation efforts to consolidate common utility type IT services, and that's a difficult path because people don't like to give up the so-called server huggers. It's hard to convince them that they can still perform their work without having the things physically located where they are, or for convincing our business units that we can provide the service as well as the people that directly work for them. So some of the consolidation efforts and efficiencies, the challenges there are to get people to agree to that, and to work through that and make them feel confident that we can meet their business needs. I would also say in any new things that we implement that provide more service, we have to maintain security. So that's a constant balancing of risk. Yes, we want to improve the capabilities, but we have to be secure with our data at the same time. So that's a real challenge that has an impact on the way we provide service. I think one of the most important things is to convince the customer that there's something in it for them. It's not just an IT implementation. To give an example, from my earlier career, we had an infrastructure upgrade happening at one of the embassies that I was posted at, and the ambassador said, well, hey, what does this do for me? Because it was disruptive. Kind of like replacing your pipes in the street or giving you, a new gas meter. It's just disruptive for you. It doesn't necessarily give you anything better, although it needs to be done. So finding something within, so he did thankfully get a larger mailbox size, but finding something in it of advantage to the customer is one of the first things. Convincing them that this is better for the business that they're responsible for executing, and that it's not just, another IT thing. I think that is the critical thing, because it's not really technology that keeps you from moving forward. It's your culture or the people, and convincing them that this is something that makes sense for them. Some of the things that we've done internally are providing access to social media tools similar to what you find on the internet, but for the use of our communities inside. We have Diplopedia, which is a Wikipedia type tool for information about the department, where people can update, experts can come and update those items. And I think we have more than 5,000 people in our community that are consistent providers of content, not just people looking at it and searching, which is one measure, but the fact that we have so many people across the department participating, I think, is a real mark of its success. And also, it's interesting that in some of our more formal communications that we've had that are messages, text, people will refer others to that Diplopedia for more information, which I think is a real indication that it's catching on. We have communities of practice online where people will get together using a social media tool to discuss certain topics, where in the past they would have had to use a much slower and much less collaborative sharing of text-based type information, and those are more driven by the user community than the formal structure, so I think that's another good thing. Externally, we have in the public affairs, starting I think most aggressively in the public affairs domain, a great use of social media to interact with the public. so domestically they would interact with the domestic public, and overseas with the people around the world that are interested in what the State Department is doing or in what we want to hear about from them that pertains to what we're doing worldwide. And that's Twitter, Facebook, any of the common-based tools that you would find out there, we're participating to a great extent. And that's only growing from that kind of public affairs look to the diplomacy and economic arena, where more and more embassies and people that are involved in that kind of work are using social media tools to engage local populations. I think it's had a huge impact on what we're doing, particularly with the start of this administration. There was a real, I think, emphasis that you saw from the elections that moved forward into the administration, and it's been kind of a non-stop push to take advantage of those tools. And if you're going to reach some groups, particularly outward-facing, that's the mechanism you have to use. Things are changing. People are communicating in that social media world, so we need to be there. And I think you'll find that across all aspects of our work. And that then has turned into what we're doing internally, or how we're promoting internal programs. We have something else called the Virtual Student Foreign Service, which is a way to get college-age students with certain kinds of expertise to participate their time voluntarily on kind of mini projects that embassies or offices in the department would have, and that's all done through social media. And it impacts the way we hire. We're using social media to recruit. So I think it's had a sweeping impact on the whole department, and that's only growing. We are looking for more opportunities to take advantage of commoditization of IT. So I mentioned earlier some of the things we're doing domestically with like services that were run separately, whether it's network, desktop support, even mobile apps, to consolidate those and only have one group of people that are doing them. Cloud, which is probably the big and most commonly talked about in the IT realm. We are a little bit cautious about moving any major type applications with a lot of our information in them, critical information, or privacy, banking information, credit card information, those kind of things. Until some of the security, I guess, is more proven. It's a security concern more than anything else. We have been, I think, fairly aggressive in looking at opportunities and pursuing opportunities to put things that were already public facing into the cloud, because it's just a better economic alternative, and you already had that information available to the public, so there wasn't such a security issue. But on some of our corporate applications, not so much looking at the commercial cloud, but in implementing, let's say, cloud methodologies and practices internally in the clouds that we're doing. We're consolidating data centers. We've done a great job virtualizing as people come into them, but not really offering services, cloud-like services. We've let a lot of the entities stay within their stovepipe. So virtualizing was good, moving into modern data centers was good, but we need to take the next step and really offer it as a cloud service internally. And I think for the next few years that we'll continue to do things that way. I think we're waiting to see the security efforts of the federal government, things like FedRAMP, play out, see how contractual transitions would happen. If you're in with one contractor, what happens at the end of that contract period and you have to go to another? How do you ensure that you write a good contract, that you're not only getting good services throughout, but when you have to transition, you can smoothly transition so there's no disruption. So we're much more cautious on putting any major applications, data, or anything else out in the cloud. Okay, I think that we're already doing some good things in that area that are on the cutting edge with our continuous monitoring program, and we move to this continuous monitoring of those things within our networks and our systems, those controls that are tied to the greatest risk within our network. So it's risk-based monitoring, prioritization of those, and then grading those so the owners of those systems will see, are they doing a good job against these controls or not, and then they remediate those. And it's actually created a little bit of competition between our various posts overseas and Washington to see who can get the best grade, which has turned into better security because they act quickly, and they can visualize that in a kind of dashboard also on a continuous basis. And we moved to this because we felt that the requirements under FISMA, the Federal Information Security Management Act, were, while they were good at the time that they were put in place, and they do give some benefit up front on new applications by documenting the security controls you're going to have in place, how you're going to review them, they don't really adequately look at your network on a daily basis, and you're receiving threats on a daily basis. So we're moving into this continuous monitoring program. We've been the lead, I believe, one of the agencies in the lead in the federal government, and have also been followed by a number of private entities in this approach, and we're only looking at strengthening that, putting more of the things that represent threats to us on a prioritized basis into this continuous monitoring system. So I think it's one of the major things that we're doing. As far as what innovations have to take place in cyber, I don't know if they're really, if I could put my finger on one thing that needs to take place, because it seems that once you do something to protect, then a new threat comes about. So it's a continuously changing and modified environment. But I think that we're on the way to significantly being able to track, monitor, and I think we already did a good job, but with the continuous monitoring, I think we'll even do a better job. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about, how I would categorize this, is a significant accomplishment, a recent significant accomplishment, but I would also characterize it as something that as a central IT organization, we're very focused on providing, or have been traditionally very focused on providing the technology, the network, the radios, the telephones, the gadgets, the data centers, the stuff that you can almost knock on. I mean, that's being a little bit too narrow, but this is where I think we're going as a central IT organization in providing support to using technology to meet programmatic and mission objectives. So we've had a series of these things that we call tech camps, and we partner with other parts of the department, the secretary, staff, Alec Ross, I think he's a very well-known person, and other parts of the building, depending on the topic, to really bring together civil society leaders, and we do these overseas, civil society leaders, technology leaders, people within the department and other organizations, to talk about things that are important to all those entities, and to ideally bring that technical know-how to maybe some NGOs or civil society organizations that don't have that capability, and have kind of an expertise, what I'll call an expertise transfer, and then taking advantage of technology tools, social media, things that are readily available to meet needs. And so some of the examples that I'm going to have to look down to get them accurately that have come out of these were custom online maps for election monitoring in Venezuela, and that came out of a meeting in Santiago. Mobile communications solution for Save the Children in Jakarta. We also had a tech camp in Jakarta. People with disabilities building accessibility map solutions for Vilnius. A crowdsourcing garbage awareness app for Chisinau, and in Montevideo, an online map using open data of the education centers across Guatemala to show standard test scores and classroom size more accurately. So those are just a few of the examples, but these are an area where I think that we're really going with IT in the department, and continuing to support the architecture, but also looking at where can technology really make a difference in the execution of the State Department's mission. And so we've had a lot of successes and look forward to doing more of those. Which is the State Messaging Archive Retrieval Toolset, was a multi-year effort to move away from what was basically a text-based telegram type messaging system, and it was the way we did all of our formal communications between agencies, 40 plus different agencies, and between our posts overseas and the State Department, and very, very much a part of our culture. How we do most of our major reporting and provide information to the interagency about a variety of issues that are of interest to them, because we're in places where a lot of agencies aren't. But it was text-based. In fact, for a long time it was all caps even. So we did move to uppercase, lowercase many years ago. But then the thought was, okay, how can our infrastructure was collapsing too, had very few people that knew how to maintain the old systems, but wanted to move to a new system that met more of the user needs. So that, through a steering committee, a variety of user interfaces, the development, all of those kind of things, we moved to a system where now, yes, it has that formal reporting structure, it's tagged It always was tagged, but it continues to be tagged so it can be archived, can be accessed by the broader State Department and interagency community with the right rule-based access. Provides pictures, charts, in addition to just text. So it's expanded the capabilities for formal reporting in the department and improved the security at the same time. It was a huge step for us because the telegram was such an important thing within our department.